the more things change, the more they stay the
Hmm.
same.
Yeah.
And one time, my mom loves reading um, Reader's Digest and People magazine, and she likes reading, articles more so than a book.
Hmm.
So she'll pick up Reader's Digest even though it's old, just because it's short reading
Right.
as well. And there was one that she picked up from the thrift store. They had really old magazines there, and she picked up some old Reader's Digest. And there was one from 1981.
Mm.
Okay. How long ago was 1981? Over 40 years ago.
Yeah.
You would think these articles were written today.
Really.
The problems, the issues,
Hmm.
all of them are the same.
Mm.
Nothing in this world has been solved.
Mm. Just more problems.
Just, just costs more money, I
Hmm.
think. But um, for for anybody who's in the younger generation, that might be tuning in, let me just say what's going on today has been always going
Hmm.
on.
Yeah, it's like, they have a saying where stuff like this was happening before we were born, it's going to happen after we're gone too.
Yeah. Technology and the internet has made it much easier to transmit
Hmm.
faster
Hmm.
as well. And it's still, there's no regulation um, for the content. Today, I think it's like opening up a faucet.
Hmm.
When we were younger, it was more of a trickle
Mm.
or a slow stream.
Hmm.
Now it's turning on full, and you're getting full
Endless.
gush,
Yeah.
and I think it's overwhelming,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know. So we were fed things in small bits, and now we're just flooding to where we don't know what we're thinking, what to think, how to think, what's true, what's not true, what's somewhat true. Maybe there's a bit of truth in
Yeah.
everything that we get out there.
Hmm. True.
Uh, and and we're also I think today it's a lot harder in those aspects than it
Hmm.
was in the past
Oh yeah. In that sense, yeah. For kids, it's really hard for them in a digital world, you
to
know.
cope.
Hmm.
A lot of them are having difficulty coping.
Hmm.
Um, we didn't have helicopter parents.
Hmm.
Because of that, we became
Hmm.
helicopter parents,
Hmm.
and maybe that wasn't a good thing, but there were bad things happening at the time that we felt we had to be.
Hmm.
Um, there was one of the good things about mass media is now we're learning that there are predators out there.
Oh yeah. Back in the
It's
day, we didn't know, but now,
We didn't
yeah.
know, but now we know,
Hmm.
and that occurred around the time of Adam Walsh. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Hmm.
Yeah, everyone, in our age group knows who he is or who he was. His father, John Walsh, created the show America's Most Wanted, which had been on the air
Hmm.
for about 25
At
years or
least,
so, maybe
yeah.
30 years.
I mean,
So
all of that is very eye-opening for me,
it's it was very eye opening, and that made us protect our kids. That's why. And then, unfortunately, the kids were so well protected
Mhm.
that we did all the thinking for them because we
Uh,
were just afraid for their safety.
mhm.
Um, that's one good thing and one bad thing.
Right, right. It's like those shows on NBC where they set up someone that's like a predator and then they catch them in the act and things
Mm,
like that. And there's no shortage of situations like that, which is really sad. Yeah. And it's always been this way, right?
it's always been
But,
there, but we weren't aware of it.
yeah, we just weren't.
Technology brought that to light,
Mm-hmm.
shone a light on that, and it's shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because we were, as children and teenagers, we didn't see the dangers.
Right. We didn't know about it. Yeah.
No,
And the news didn't report on it also,
no,
you know. And the
no.
thing about the news, they'll tell you what they want to tell you, basically. There's a lot of news out there, but I don't know who decides what they want to show us. So that's why, I mean, in some ways, that's why I think the internet will is better,
Yeah.
but it's also bad. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to use discernment and
Hmm.
experience as well.
Yeah.
Competing for opportunities
Oh,
in
yeah.
education and employment. I don't know, was it easier to find a job back in the day than it is today?
Well, back then it was more time consuming, right? You actually had to type up a resume, bring it over, hope someone, someone actually has to sit down and read it. They have to call you. The process is long. Now you go on the internet, you send your resume, you apply. They, call you if they want you. The hard thing about now is there are, I guess they use, I don't know if it's AI or they use some kind of program to weed out the applications that don't qualify. Like let's say for pharmacy, majority of people have a PharmD, a doctor of pharmacy, right? But there's still some people that went to school way back when, like me, all we had was aspirin and penicillin. We have bachelor's degrees. So if there's a job, let's say I applied today and one of the
Mhm.
requirements is
Yeah.
PharmD, but I have a bachelor's, when it goes through the computer, my
It'll kick
application
yours
gets kicked
out.
out.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Although with all my years of experience, it's equivalent to a PharmD, right?
It is.
30 plus
But
years.
without the human element,
Right. Mm-hmm.
to screen it,
Right. Mm-hmm.
um, and see all the rest of your qualifications and
Mm-hmm.
experience,
Yeah.
then you don't have a chance
Right. Right.
unless you know somebody there
Mm-hmm.
that can refer you and
Right.
recommend you. And
Right.
even then, they still have to apply,
Mm-hmm.
and they're a slave to the algorithm
Yeah. Yeah.
that they
Exactly.
set forth for the qualifications.
Right. And I
That
understand them using that because it's less time consuming, you don't waste time. There's so many applicants,
mm,
but that's a drawback. Yeah.
it is a drawback because those that have the talent and the experience aren't given the chance.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
So where before, you had that human element, and you were given a chance
Mm-hmm.
to shine. Oh, let's get to know you. It's like, what kind of a employee could you be? What kind of
Right.
what can you bring?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't even get that opportunity
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. But even
It's
back
rare.
then, you're at this person's will. Like, let's say this person just doesn't like a certain type of person, or they didn't like the school you went to, whatever. It could be something that be like, no, we're not taking them. They went to this school, they were a competitor. It could be something trivial. So there's pros and cons, pretty
You
much.
know, there's pros and cons to it, but at least you know that a person looked at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas the today a person doesn't look at it
Mm-hmm. Until
until
later on. Yeah.
the algorithm says, okay, you
Mm-hmm.
met the qualifications that were
Mm-hmm.
laid out for this job.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So that's why a lot of recruiters and a lot of hiring managers says is like, you're going to have several resumes,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to adjust your resume to the job description to
Mm.
get through that. So you almost have to cheat,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to get in there.
Yeah.
And there are so many applicants and so many people that have a degree, and there's some jobs that don't require a degree, but they want a degree anyway.
Yeah.
And that makes it hard. I think that the deck is stacked against you because of the volume of people
Mm-hmm.
that apply.
Applicants. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, whereas you don't get a chance to sit down and meet with anyone anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Even staffing agencies are that way now,
Mm-hmm.
where it used to be to where they could actually meet with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, you applied, to this job. Let's meet you and see
Mm-hmm.
where we can fit, where you would be a good
Well,
fit.
now they meet
They don't do
online.
that anymore.
Well, they can
They don't
do.
meet online.
They don't
No,
meet
they don't.
online. Oh, okay.
No.
Hmm.
If
Interesting.
you don't meet the
Oh,
algorithm of
yeah.
whatever
True.
jobs
True.
they put out
Then
there,
you don't even get
uh,
that chance.
you don't get that chance. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, okay, well, I see you submit an application and a resume.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk and let's see where we can help you. But they don't. If there's anything out there, please leave a something in the
Let us
description below.
know. Yeah, because.
Because I have sons that are applying,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got the schooling, the education, and it's hard to break through. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. And even if you know somebody in there, you still have to apply the
Yeah.
same way as
Hmm.
everyone else,
Right.
which I understand to make it fair. I get that. But it's like, how do you break through?
Hmm.
Um, After a while, it gets frustrating.
Yeah.
I've seen it on LinkedIn a whole lot. It's incredibly frustrating. The competition is
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
It is higher than it used to be,
Hmm.
you
A
know.
lot
And
worse. Yeah.
before you could just walk in
Hmm.
and say, "Hey, I saw this ad in the
Hmm.
paper, and here's my resume," or even then, you just filled out an
Hmm.
application. And so
Yeah.
it's like, well, let's, here, you take a typing test or an aptitude test, and we'll see how, we'll get to know you and we'll see where we can place you as a
Right.
temp.
Yeah. I don't think they do those tests anymore, but yeah, back
We
then they
don't.
had them. Yeah, I used to walk
You-
into like the hospital and HR and
mhm.
be like, I'd like to schedule an interview with the manager. So I got a few interviews that way.
Sometimes
Yeah.
they would, sometimes they would interview you on the spot,
Hmm. Yeah.
but it's not that way now.
Hmm. It's a lot more
It
difficult.
isn't that way now. And so at least you got a chance
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
It's highly difficult,
Hmm.
so I would rather do it the old way. At least I got jobs back
Mm-hmm.
then that would help me build up to that. But
Hmm.
when you're new, if I were just starting out now, I would be incredibly
Yeah.
frustrated.
Yeah. I
The
agree.
only way to get placed is maybe through an internship, which there aren't that many
Hmm. Right.
out there. That's also very competitive.
Hmm.
Or start entry level somewhere, that is also very competitive.
Hmm.
It's really not easy.
Right. I
It's
agree.
very not easy. So I think in the aspect, our era was easier, less competitive,
Hmm.
and and people would start out from the bottom and work their way up.
Hmm. Yeah.
They could start in the mailroom and end up being a vice president by the end of their career, or even CEO,
Hmm.
but not anymore. Not
Yeah.
anymore. There's not even any loyalty now
Hmm.
for a company, which is
Yeah.
sad.
It's
Which is
sad.
sad.
Hmm.
So education, though, I think the opportunities are real good.
Hmm.
Except for higher education is very expensive,
Yeah. And very competitive as well.
competitive, but
Yeah.
they're offering degree programs for a career path that is really non-existent. You
Mm.
know, to where it's like, yeah, I'm interested in this and I like that. And I'm like, sure,
Hmm.
fine, make that your hobby.
Hmm.
Don't set your whole hopes
Yeah. You have to have
and
a plan B and a plan C.
yeah,
Yeah.
you need to enter the workforce and support yourself.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
this you know, work a day. If you work a job you love or a career you
Hmm.
love, you never work a day in your life.
Hmm.
That's
That's what they say.
that's
Yeah.
crap. That's a load of BS. You
Right.
gotta be able to support yourself.
Yeah.
And if you work at your hobby as a career path, you're not gonna like that hobby much
Hmm. Yeah.
anymore.
Because
Maybe
it's
you
no more
will.
fun. Yeah. It's not fun anymore.
It's not fun because now that's your outlet.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
um, so, work with something that you're good at,
Yeah.
that you can excel in, and you can support yourself, and then use the rest for your hobby. And maybe later on, once you've made enough money, then
Hmm.
you can develop that hobby
Hmm.
into a side gig and eventually a career later in life.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, I told my son, I didn't force him to be a doctor or anything like that, but I told him, do whatever you want. Make sure you can make enough money to support yourself and buy mom a really nice gift once in a while. Those are my only criteria. Yeah,
hmm
that's it. Because I mean, it just doesn't make sense to force people into something they don't want to do. But,
no,
you know,
yeah, because I mean, we live our own dreams.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
But figure out something that you have a talent
Mm-hmm.
in, that you can make money in and get
Yeah.
a job. So, and then after that, the other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
do that for fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And always
Make
have
that
a
your
plan
outlet.
B. Like I say, if that doesn't work out, you got to have a backup plan.
And you always have to have a
Mm-hmm.
backup plan. So, for you young people out there who might be listening, have a backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we understand. We've been through it. We know.
Mm-hmm.
We know. We may be old, but that doesn't mean that we didn't go through the
Mm-hmm.
same similar thing.
Right.
We have.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to be a movie star. I'm not. I think this is the closest to showbiz I'm ever going to get. So,
That's so funny.
so my plan B is I joined the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there we are, and then it went from there. You develop your skill set,
Yeah.
and do that,
Mm-hmm.
and make your money, pay your bills, and maybe travel a little bit, that kind of stuff. Travel though is a lot easier, I think, nowadays than
It
it used to
is.
be.
Booking the everything, you can get reviews online of places. You're not just going blind based on,
Right.
the travel catalog or whatever. You go there and it's a nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah, you go there, it's a nightmare, or you realize they're nickel and dime you for
Mm-hmm.
all the little extras,
Yeah. Yeah.
different fees that you weren't made aware of.
Mm-hmm.
You learn, and then you go out there once you're prepared. You go out there, and then you can have a good time,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Travel is a
And
lot easier now, I think. Yeah.
it is a lot easier. Many countries they speak English,
Mm-hmm.
and you can
There's
you can get by.
translation apps and stuff like that. It's so easy. You can learn a few words just by going
Yeah.
on your computer. You don't have to take a class or
And
anything
a
like that.
lot of the countries that were underdeveloped back when we were young are fully developed now.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
and
they
some
have
of
big
them are
cities
way
and
past the United States. Some places are way more
yeah,
developed than here,
exactly.
which
Yeah,
is
and a lot of the things that we would be surprised at,
mhm.
that they're highly developed, and
Yeah.
so you should be, go with your eyes open.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a level of safety there
Mm-hmm.
that before you needed a guide. Most places you don't need a guide anymore.
Yeah.
You could just
I
research it on your
I
own.
travel alone a lot of
Hmm.
times, and I find it very easy. All
Hmm.
I need is my phone and the internet,
Yeah.
and I'm good to go. Yeah.
So that has improved, I think,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the past. Although I've always wanted to travel, I'm now able to do
Mm-hmm.
more traveling, and it's wonderful. So now is a good time to make your way around the world,
Mm-hmm.
and do that. It is much easier, as long as you prepare.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing, just prepare.
Yeah.
So anyway, what's our future outlook, do you think? We mentioned before that we're seem to be reliving the 20th
Yeah.
century. We
Mm-hmm.
had the threat of the Cold War and nuclear war
Mm-hmm.
back then, and it seems to have
Same
made a
thing now.
comeback.
Different
Hmm.
day.
In closing, each generation is unique, but we're facing similar challenges in some aspects.
Yeah, and whole
Yeah.
new challenges too.
Mhm.
In addition, like cybersecurity, I get letters every few weeks. There has been a data breach. Identity theft is ridiculous now,
Yeah.
also. So, I
That's a
mean,
safety threat that we never had in the past.
well, we did. There was identity theft then also, but it just
Yeah, there
wasn't,
was.
yeah.
Somebody would steal your purse or your wallet,
Hmm.
or you throw out, your old bills in the
Or
trash,
your
and there were
check, they
dumpster
would,
divers.
yeah, right. Or they get your mail and they change the amount on the check or who it's going to, things like that. Um,
Yeah. So it was, but it is a grander scale now
yeah,
and worldwide.
and much easier for them
Mhm.
also.
So in closing, Penny,
So if you like our content, please like this and subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Did I mention subscribe?
and leave some comments down
Yeah, give us some
below.
feedback. Yeah,
We want to know what you think.
yeah.
Let's keep the conversation going.
Hmm.
Similarities, your viewpoints. We're interested in that. And we will be back again next week.
Hmm.
And hopefully, we will see you then as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.